Junkies? Welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you. Now, I've been excited about this review video for two reasons. One, I recently partnered up with Severin Films. If you're not familiar with them, they are a great boutique label with people who love physical media just as much as we do. They pour everything, including the kitchen sink, into each title released, either 4K or Blu-ray, where you can guarantee a top-tier presentation with any release. Go check out their website if you haven't already. I'll put the link down below in the description of this video. And the second reason is Severin is introducing this grindhouse 80s horror film, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, into their 4K line. And this 4K and also the remastered Blu-ray is being released this month on May 28th. Now in 2021, Code Red got their hands on the film and restored it in a 2K presentation from the original 35mm negative, releasing this Blu-ray right here. And it became one of their biggest sellers. Now, 3 years later, after Code Red released their Blu-ray, Severin steps in and says, "Hold my beer, guys," giving Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker the Royal 4K UHD treatment with a 4K restoration sourced from the original 35mm negative with HDR10 grading and its appropriate theatrical aspect ratio of 1:85:1. Alright, so let's dig into the sick, depraved world of Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker and take a closer look at Severin's 4K UHD presentation and compare it to the Code Red 2021 Blu-ray and if this 4K is worth the upgrade. Severin Films hits another home run in their 4K line. This is an impressive looking 4K transfer. Right off the bat, you can easily tell this is a new transfer. The image has been cleaned up from any kind of wear and tear from mishandling and the negative sitting in storage for a number of years. For example, this shot right here, about the 35-second mark, you can clearly see white specks and debris on her face and also on the car from the Blu-ray. This has been cleaned up on the 4K restoration, while still remaining completely faithful to the original source material, keeping the integrity of the original negative. And this is just one shot out of many throughout the film that's been cleaned up. There is also notable improvements with the color reproduction. The 4K carries a more natural, lifelike appearance, and also colors look more balanced out. The HDR10 grading really opens up the color gamut wider that only enhances what's already there, helping to bring the film as close as possible to its theatrical look. The HDR grading gives the film some really nice added color depth, activity in the colors, and better nuanced colors. Let's start off with the reds. All the reds look rich and vivid. I did notice, however, that some areas where the reds do look a tad overly hot, but overall the reds stay consistent. Blood reds look deeper crimson red while also looking more natural in appearance and more nuanced. Blues also look outstanding with a brighter, more natural look. Secondary colors like grays, tans, and browns are also likewise improved. Also, fire from the car explosion at the beginning of the film looks fantastic with bright, deep, fiery flames, along with a slightly tighter glow around the fire. Highlights look excellent as well and handled much better here on the 4K, where shots like this were somewhat blown out. On the Blu-ray, we don't have this issue on the 4K, with much better stability and without any blooming, clipping, or blown out hotspots. Now, the Code Red Blu-ray carried some fairly weaker black levels, with some crushing in areas, while other areas I noticed some very slightly brighter blacks. It's not by any means terrible, it's not unwatchable, but it's definitely there. The 4K, especially with the use of HDR10, really enhances the black levels even more so, giving way to finer and better resolved blacks, looking deeper and truer, and I didn't notice any issues of bleeding or murky shadows, unlike we have with the Blu-ray. The shadows on the 4K are very healthy, rich, giving way to better details and delineation throughout the image. This also helps in giving the image more depth and even an eerier, creepier atmosphere in certain scenes. The overall image quality is much crisper and clearer, and now has finer lines in the image due to the higher 2160p resolution, giving an extraordinary amount of vivid details that stay as sharp as it can be, whether it be with wide shots or close-ups. There are some close-up shots where the background stays impressively sharp. The 4K also has better revealing facial and skin textures. We can make out all the individual hairs, complexions, beads of sweat, and of course all the mayhem with the practical makeup effects with blood and gore. We can even make out all the little droplets of blood on floors, on walls, blood smeared on skin as I mentioned earlier, and blood-soaked clothes. It's all there, staying constantly active, completely showcasing all the beautiful practical makeup effects. Another area that was really impressive, especially when compared to the Code Red Blu-ray, is with the textures and details in clothing and props, with all the mid-80s objects and details in the background and in rooms. They're all incredibly impressive to look at. The film also carries what most 80 movies do carry, which is a slight glow in the image, and this is no exception. The 4K, though, does better at resolving this issue where the glow actually looks a little bit tighter and more stable than it did on the Blu-ray, giving us that nice 80s nostalgic vibe to it. The bitrate stays between 80 to the mid-90s Mbps. If you've ever seen this movie before, you know that there's a lot of heavy grain in the image, especially within the black levels. And when I compare the two formats, the Blu-ray carried some of the areas with the heavy grain looking very muddy, especially under dark and night scenes. Also, I notice a lot of noise from the grain in black shirts. While the 4K does retain the film's natural grain appearance, it also handles the grain structure impressively well, with better resolved and tighter grain. It's not as heavy or muddy as it looked on the Blu-ray, giving us that really nice natural 35mm grain field. Alright, now let's dig into the audio presentation of this 4K UHD, and it does come with a very nice and aggressive DTS HD lossless stereo track that more than gets the job done, and it perfectly fits the tone and atmosphere of the film. Now the Blu-ray's audio, I noticed it had quite a few times where there was some audio that popped, with some very brief even audio cutouts throughout the film on the Blu-ray. I didn't notice any of these problems here on the 4K audio, or any other kind of age-related anomalies in the audio. The audio track sounds great, from the film's horror-filled score to sound effects and dialogue that's very well balanced and clear. Alright guys, so my score for Severin Films 4K UHD presentation of Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, I'm giving the video presentation an impressive 5 out of 5, and the audio a 4 out of 5. Alright, but now it's your turn. Head over to the comment section and let me know. I'm really curious about your opinion here. When you look at the differences here between the 4K and the previous release Blu-ray, which do you think looks better? Or do you even see any comparison at all? Head over to the comment section and let me know. Alright guys, well once again, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker 4K UHD from Severin Films hits the streets and into your homes and hopefully into your hearts. May 28th, 2024. Make sure to add this one to your collection. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time.